Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Less Music, More Music stream. Tonight, we're going to have to slightly widen that definition because less music means Leicestershire music. And we have with us Dan Perry, who is not strictly speaking a Leicestershire person. He's from Lincolnshire.
Indeed.
Which starts with an L, so we're going to let you off with that one. But I'm going to ask one of my beautiful assistants if they wouldn't mind just... Joe, could you give that to... Dan to wear, just so you'll have to go through this way, just so he remembers where he's from.
Grand Frax. Guantanamo Bay.
Leicester.
Leicester.
We got the Leicester fire, right?
Leicester.
So welcome, Dan. Thank you very much for coming along.
Cheers.
You're also known as Weallfallsilent.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? That's quite an unusual moniker.
It comes from a book. I can't remember what book it is. Enduring Love by Ian McEwan.
All right.
There's just a bit in it where it says, "We all fell silent," but that sounded shite. I just named it that. I didn't want to perform under my own name.
Okay.
Because I never intended for it to be solo. So.
And you've been, from what my researchers tell me, and we have a big team of researchers, obviously, on LMMMMM, you've been performing since around about the turn of the century, well, turn of the millennium.
Yeah, I was playing, I'd performed at school before that, but the first time I played was it was 99 or 2000, but I started doing this about 2002 sort of thing. And
was that when you started using the Weallfallsilent?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where did you first start performing? Was it because I see you as being in 3 different places. I think when I see you on Facebook, you spend quite a lot of time in Staffordshire.
I go there sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not there that often.
Do you have properties in all 3 locations?
Yes, don't you know? No, my girlfriend lives there, so
all right.
I'll go up and visit her, yeah.
And what brings you to Leicester?
University. I came here as a mature student studying microbiology.
And are you still studying?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you think to Leicester? Is it better than Staffordshire and Lincolnshire, or?
I couldn't say about Staffordshire because I don't know that well, but it probably is.
Yeah.
There's no real place I can think of there. And yeah, definitely than Lincolnshire. There's not much going on.
And where do you consider your home now?
Leicester, I feel at home here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this where you see yourself over the next few years and...
For the foreseeable future, yeah.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of a background then, how you got into music. What started you off? Was it playing guitar, singing, or...?
When I was about 12, 13, I think it was perhaps, we formed a band at school and I was just a singer. And then it wasn't cool to have just a singer. They had to have an instrument in their hands, so I got kicked out. But the bassist was crap, so I replaced him.
So you got back in?
Yeah, and I couldn't play bass.
Yeah.
But my friend got bass for Christmas and he lent it to me. I bet his parents love that. And I just practiced on that. I just learned a load of Green Day and Nirvana songs.
So you actually have to practice to be a bassist?
Yeah, believe it or not, yeah.
I thought he just stood there on stage.
You can get away with that, yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
I did for a long time, just playing one note, that was it.
Okay. And what would you describe as being your musical influences?
I don't know. There's lots. I listen to lots of different music. I mean, I grew up on what my dad played. He's like a music fascist. It was his music or nothing else. And he played like he'd be obsessed with one musician for a bit and non-stop play them.
What sort of people?
So Bruce Springsteen, the Pogues, the Jam, Smiths, Beatles, stuff like that.
Yeah. And
then when I was about 8, he showed me how to put a record on, and I discovered my mum's records, which is Motown and Stax, sort of stuff.
Oh, so you've got quite a wide range of influence there, if you're talking Motown through to Beatles
Yeah,
and
also
Springsteen.
like stuff like Bessie Smith, the sort of old blues, when blues and jazz is sort of, you can't tell the difference, you know, they're very, almost the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tom Waits, you know, whatever, music, it's good musical, yeah.
And you describe yourself now on one of the websites I was looking at as acoustic indie and schmindy.
Yeah, because I don't know how to describe it, and indie's just such a
Wide genre.
Yeah, it's just like just saying electronic music to classify
Yeah.
house and techno and drum and bass and everything.
Well, that's it, because you do play quite a few instruments in your music, don't you? It's not just guitar.
No, I have synths and drum machines, sequence and stuff, but I've written all the music, and that is all sequenced by the sequencer.
And how did you get into the kind of electronic side, the digital side of music?
Just listening to Warp Records and Ninja Tune Records, really got into Aphex Twin, Square Pusher, and like Music Concrete, the Pierre Schaffer sort of recording found sounds like trains or whatever, and then I got synth about 10 years ago and started really experimenting with making sounds and stuff.
And have you put anything out on CD or
No.
vinyl?
No. I've done like little crappy CDs I've done for friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And lots of cassettes before that, before I had a CD recorder.
Yeah. But nothing official in
yeah,
terms of
nothing
merch?
official, no.
No. What about gigs? One of my failings is I haven't seen you play yet, so it'll be quite a good night. Well, no. Exciting. How often do you gig? Do you play around Leicester? Do you play other places?
I'll play where and when I can, but I tend to hibernate in the winter.
Yeah.
So I play a lot less gigs then. And over this particular winter, I started trying to work on being able to recreate what I do in my recordings live. So that's when I started deciding that I needed to use a sequencer.
Yeah. And what inspires you to write a new song? What are your kind of prompts? Is it something that happens to you, or is it observing what other people are doing?
It's just different things. I think sometimes I can just think of a lyric. Sometimes something is happening, and it's you know, I want to write about it. Or sometimes I'm listening to some music and it inspires me to write.
And what about kind of social issues? Are you into kind of politics motivating you to
No,
to write songs?
I have no political opinion whatsoever, and I don't talk about politics much. No,
Except on Facebook.
Except on Facebook, yeah. I do, yeah. Yeah.
So you could be the Lincolnshire Billy Bragg.
The link, no, because I don't really sing about politics or anything.
Yeah.
I've written some songs, but I don't tend to perform them. Yeah, I did one that was just a sample of David Cameron. It's called "I Don't Believe a Word That Comes Out of Your Fat Mouth." But I just couldn't. I didn't have anything that would play a sample for that long, so I just never bothered playing it.
This could get interesting. I better just explain before we ask you to do your first couple of songs for us. Dan or Daniel, is it Dan or Daniel?
Whatever.
Either. Dan has brought a couple of co-musicians along who are going to be playing a little bit later tonight. So in a radical change to our format, we're going to have 2 songs from Dan, then 1 in the middle and 2 at the end. But we'll give you more details about the co-musicians later. Although I was a bit disappointed because you told me you were going to bring a sibling to play with you, and I thought it was Katy Perry, and it turns out to be Nikki Perry.
Yeah, I was going to bring my dad Fred as well, but they just, you know.
They bottled it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about
It's
that.
a lot of pressure being on things like X Factor, LMMM, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, she's a wanted woman, you know, and you know she doesn't have time for her family that much.
She spends a lot of time in the
We
States.
understand it, you know. It's just
one of those
Price
things.
of fame, yeah, yes.
Okay, if we could trouble you to do a couple of songs for us, that would be lovely.
Okay, so this first one requires a drink before.
Doesn't every good song?
Aye. It's called 52. Heart, I'm the joker in the pack. You're not coming back. Can't say I'm surprised. Knew it from the first time that I looked in your eyes. And it's a shame to know that we're not going anywhere. Learn that after all these years you still don't care. It's a shame to know that we're not going anywhere. And you're not who you said you were. Dealt the wrong hand, but I don't think you understand. You never understood. After everything we've been through, I never ever thought I'd see this side to you. And it's a shame to know we're not going anywhere. Learn that after all these years you still don't care. It's a shame to know that we're not going anywhere. And you're not who you said you were. You said you were.
Right.
Sí, me quedé. Oh, muchas gracias. Cheers.
Arriba, arriba, arriba. Arriba. Underlay, underlay, underlay.
Oh yeah.
Said the carpet fitter.
This song's called All Hell Broke Loose. Hell broke loose. This plan has backfired. I was chasing a wild goose and I planned to down to the wire. But she got away. I don't think I'll ever see her again. I hope that someday I'll find my friend, but I'm clutching at straws. chaos, confusion and trouble. I felt out of use and I hid in a little bubble. But that bubble popped, it split at the seam. The illusion stopped, so did my pipe dream on clutching straws. And forgetting the cause. We all have our imperfections, defects and flaws. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So politics is off the agenda.
Yeah.
I can scrap that now.
You'll do. Yeah.
We'll leave that for Nikki or Nick. What about social media? What are your feelings, given that we talked that you use Facebook a bit? What impact do you think social media is having on music?
Quite a big one, really. For gigs, for getting gigs and advertising to a point. Because I think it means nothing when someone says they're attending an event.
Yeah.
You really cannot go on the numbers on Facebook. It's weird, but I think it's also killed people handing out flyers, and you don't see much flying anymore.
No.
Definitely not at the university, but we're not allowed to. I don't think.
That's an interesting point you mentioned, the university, because you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that the university don't allow town venues to do fly posting up on the university premises.
I think it's to do with O2.
Yeah.
The scandalous. Taking over.
Which is a shame, because I've been to the O2 quite a few times, mainly the Scholar Bar. In fact, only the Scholar Bar so far. Although they have Handmade Festival coming up soon, don't they?
Yeah.
And yet, to the gigs I've been to at the Scholar Bar, I don't think I've seen any students there, or very limited numbers. So even though it's on campus, it doesn't seem to be used much. Or are there other gigs
that the students go there for the cheesy music nights? They have a lot of club nights.
Yeah.
For the students.
So rather than live music, they're going for kind of DJing and.
Yeah, they seem to. There are some people that want to watch live music and go to the events and stuff.
Yeah.
But some of them are playing in bands, or they're going out into the city as well to play. Yeah.
Because that's the other side of it. Again, I mean, we have quite a plethora of venues around Leicester now. And again, I don't get the feeling that you see that many students at the venues. I could be wrong.
I don't think many of them do go out to the gigs. They'll go out and watch their friends. There's a big habit of watch their friends and then leave.
Yeah.
I've noticed there's quite a few older people at gigs around Leicester.
Yeah.
There's not.
I'll try not to take that personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not at uni, but
Yeah.
I'll say, but that's there are older people at uni. They're not just in their early 20s and stuff. I think the attitude to music's changed.
In what way? Because I remember, well, as a teen and in your 20s, music's such an important part of your life, and music now is so generally available, but there still seems to be that disconnect between people appreciating music but actually going to see live music.
I think everything's easy. It's at your fingertips now. You can download anything. You can hear bands immediately, and it sort of loses that magic almost of saving up, buying an album or something, and then reading the thanks list and finding extra musicians and bands from that, and then waiting to find those other acts again. You can just do it like that now.
Yeah. So in a
Don't know if
sense,
that's it, but-
where they used to say videos killed the radio star, you could now say that digital has killed
Yeah,
the,
perhaps.
the music industry.
I think it's just changing it because there's a lot of YouTube stars now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just changing, evolving, but it always has done.
And I think at the university, are you president of one of the music societies?
The Band and Gig Society.
Yeah. And what does that role entail? Do you do much
Not too sure. No, it's
drinking?
It's I don't do much of that. It's just arranging gigs
Yeah.
and helping them form bands and stuff. And then with the money that we raise from the events, buying equipment for the university.
And where do those gigs events take place? Because you do some at the Firebug, don't you?
Firebug in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they used to do them at the university as well.
Yeah.
We don't anymore.
Oh, so they're all done in town?
Yeah, I wanted to bring it out into the city more.
That's good.
Sort of, encourage people to blend in. But I think it happens anyway with the bands.
Yeah.
Like Paul from Wake Up is, really good at getting the student bands and giving them gigs.
Yeah.
And then giving them more gigs if he likes them.
And with the student bands, is it a case of lots of new people coming to university, not knowing anybody, and you're kind of getting them together so they can form a band made at university, or?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's a group that they join on Facebook, the Wondrous, and we can update them, and other venues are in that group, so they can advertise the gigs that are going on. Because obviously we're not going to do an event 7 nights of the week. We try and keep it to a minimum because to keep the interest going.
Yeah.
It sort of dies down.
And what do you think? How long have you been in Leicester?
2 years.
What do you think to the Leicester music scene compared to other places you've been?
I think it's great. It's a really friendly scene.
Yeah.
There's some great people here, and if you're willing to give it a go, it's easy to get in with people. And though I don't know if there's there's still loads more people out there. It's sort of like mini groups.
Yeah.
Sort of quite fractured.
Would you say it's cliquey or it's accessible?
Definitely accessible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not clicky at all. Well, unless I've yet to find those places that maybe I've been fortunate. But,
And do you think there's a danger that there are too many venues in what is a relatively small city?
Yeah, I do. I think that there's a finite amount of people going out, and they're spread thin.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a gig on at 6 different places in one night, which there can be.
Yeah.
There's
It tends
loads
to
of
happen on
people.
the Friday and the Saturday nights, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That it's all out sort of thing, and there's some great venues here, and it'd be, I'd rather support the venues like here that are a standalone venue and the musician and the shed and stuff,
Yeah.
than pubs trying to make a bit of extra money. Although I do love supporting pubs when they need extra money,
Yeah.
rather than the Weatherspoons.
Well, there did seem to be a spread at one stage of every pub, particularly down Bronston Gate, of opening up and doing music. And you do wonder, as you say, you spread things too thinly. And there does seem to be a finite number of people going to gigs, because one of our great aims of doing this was to try and reach out to the great unwashed who don't go to gigs and say, look at these people, they're human, they talk, and they play some marginal. They play some really good music. Come and see them. But I don't think we're reaching them. Can you think of anything that could be done to?
Free cake.
Is it as simple as that?
Yeah. You don't know, kittens. Everyone likes kittens. The internet's full of cats. Maybe that's what we get.
That's probably why Facebook wouldn't allow you to send your invite to as many people as you wanted. Too many cats.
No.
But speaking of that, you're on the internet holding 2 pussies. What was going on in that photograph?
Oh, they're just some friendly neighbourhood cats. I used to have a cat flap that said "Cool for Cats" above it. Come in, and all the cats come round.
They can all read.
Yeah. Well-educated cats in Lincolnshire.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. Could we ask you to do, and this is very radical for us, just one more song in the middle bit?
Yeah.
And then we'll have a little more chat and we'll bring in our 2 guest musicians.
Yeah.
One of them all the way from Sweden, would you believe?
Yeah. I don't know what to play.
I've got one here I wrote down.
Hugs Not Drugs, I think. I'm going to play.
Are you missing your can? Oh no, your capo.
Her beauty blinds me like atropine and makes my legs shake like ketamine. She makes me dizzy like nicotine. Feel good inside like psilocybin. The next day there's no calm down. She's the most purest thing around. She brightens up this dull town, raises any frown. Warms me up like a single malt whiskey and makes me buzz like DMT. She makes me smile like Prozac, leaves me wanting more like crack. The next day there's no calm down. She's the most purest thing around. She brightens up this dull town, raises any frown. Calms me down like an ounce of weed, but makes my heart a pound like an 8 for speed. She's more addictive than the finest coke. I'll never get closer than a Facebook poke. The next day there's no calm down. She's the most purest thing around. She brightens up this dull town, raises any frown.
Bit of appreciation there from the audience. There's another can behind you if you feel the need.
Get a bit more thirsty. I do. That one was dead.
All right.
Broken.
While you're preparing the second can, do you want to tell us just a little bit about the guests that we have coming on a little later?
I have Rhett Barrow, the local well-known Rhett Soundhouse Barrow, who was on the show 2 weeks ago, was it? Yeah.
I think it was, yes.
And Cat Sick Nick, Sick Thick Nick, my brother.
Is he related to Seasick Steve?
He is, yeah. He's the more giddy one.
Oh, right.
He's as giddy amp. He's all the way over from Sweden to play, especially.
Has he come specially just for this stream?
Yeah, he'd do it.
Is he a bit of a name in Sweden? I've heard rumours that he's achieved quite big things over there.
Nah, well, he was on Pop Idol. But
will he thank you for saying that?
No, he won't. We don't talk about that.
Okay, so we're not going to mention Pop Idol in Sweden.
No, don't.
And Nick.
Don't.
C6
yeah.
Nick.
Especially when he comes in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're very privileged to have them both. don't joke. We haven't had any, but we haven't got any medical assistants here, have we?
Joe does CPR.
Oh, okay. We have got
On a first aid, but it'd be a bit crap on myself.
When you're playing, do you normally play solo or do you play with a band?
I can't find the musicians in Leicester. That's why I've got a drum machine and some sequencers and synths.
Yeah.
Because they're never out time, they're never drunk, they're never going to find girlfriends, and But then I do jam with other musicians. Quite a few different musicians play with. I go around to Rhett's a lot. I've been playing on Rhett's songs and vice versa.
Would you ideally play with a band rather than playing solo?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking for a bassist, guitarist, and drummer.
Yeah.
But preferably people that can play over drum machines, because I don't want to get rid of them. I want to mix both together, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, we do have form on this show of helping artists make up bands.
Yeah, did
Sylvia D'Souza.
Yeah, did she do it again? Eh?
She apparently, yes, has sourced two very, very talented musicians.
She got some.
Muy bien.
They couldn't turn up, so Joe and Bab went in instead. So, I don't know, we'll put an appeal out. Hopefully we can get somebody for you. What are your plans for the next 12 months or so? Are you hoping to play just round Leicester,
I
or
think that far ahead.
do you have ambitions to play in other towns?
Yeah, I'll play wherever. You know, I'll play in a shed if I have to. I'll play in a shed.
We've got one in Leicester.
Oh, amazing! Oh yeah. Bastard fell for it. Yeah, well, I'll play wherever. I'm happy to go anywhere and play. I've got a gig in Enderby. Wherever that is. No, it's just a few miles out of Leicester, isn't it?
Near where the police headquarters are.
Right, okay. At the Dog and Gun in July, I think.
Yeah.
I've got gigs booked until October. I've got a gig this day, so I've got plans, but primarily in Leicester. I do want to gig more in Nottingham, more and Brum.
Why particularly Nottingham? Do you see that as a bit of a hotbed of music?
Yeah, Nottingham's a great music scene, and I should say that.
No.
It's got a great music scene, and it's with coming from Grantham, our music scene was always up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, at points is great, and I think it's doing really well at the moment. But if you wanted to go watch a big band, or you wanted to see a lot of other acts, you had to go travel to Lincoln or Nottingham.
Yeah.
And Nottingham was always still is enticing bigger acts, so we went there. And I studied music there at Confetti.
Oh, right.
Music technology.
Yeah. Because Nottingham intrigues me. I've not been to Nottingham a lot, but I have been to a few. But I would see them as having a few well-known names like the Bodega. But would they have as many smaller venues dotted around as Leicester has?
Yeah, they've got loads of venues as well.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they've got lots of different styles of music going on as well. It's a really diverse scene. They have a big thing where the students are detached from the music scene, organising their own events, sort of thing. That doesn't really. I think some of the students do blend in. Yeah. Obviously, there's always exceptions.
So they have a similar issue to what we have here, that you've got kind of student music and town music.
No, I don't know if that's because, like, when you move to a new city and you, for a lot of students, that's the first time they've left their parents' house. You know, it can be quite daunting, and so they stay in what they know. And if you've got, like here, a club on the campus doing nights, you're just going to keep going to that. And it gone are the 10, 20 years ago then before that, when you'd have big bands coming to play at the student union, and that sort of encouraged a few more.
Yeah. What's just, I suppose, a closing question, because we need to bring in our other artists, and I'll let you give us a little bit more background maybe on them. Just as a closing comment, what's your kind of impression of the likes of Jake Bugg, Sam Smith, Ed Sheeran, in terms of what they're doing for music? Do you see that as a positive?
I couldn't tell you about Sam Smith. I don't know who he is, and if you played a song, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any Ed Sheeran songs. I know what he's doing. I know he uses a loop pedal. That's about it.
Yeah.
And then Jake Bugg, I'm a bit more familiar with.
Because he's from Nottingham.
Yeah, I've got nothing against them.
Yeah.
As long as they're writing music from their heart and not their wallet, and that's all it's about.
Yeah.
So.
Not particularly a fan. You wouldn't follow them, especially.
No. I'd watch them if it was free. If I was there at a gig or something, I'm not gonna. I haven't heard anything that's maybe rush out and buy the record, and
The thing that slightly gets me with them is, to me, there are probably 20 or 30 people in Leicester who could slip into their shoes and play music just as well,
Yeah, I think with like Nottingham with Jake Bugg, they see him as this guy that rose from the open mic nights there, and I don't think it was quite like that at all. And, there's some phenomenal musicians there. And, you know, it's the same with everywhere. It's about who you know in a lot of cases.
And do you kind of resign yourself to that as a musician, that you're almost doomed? Not doomed isn't the right word, but doomed to doing it as a creative, artistic release rather than ever doing it to hopefully make a career out of it.
I never did it to become famous, or to, you know, it'd be amazing to be paid to do it, because I could do it for a living. You know, especially if I was my own boss. I just wanted to play music, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm happy just playing. You know, if things come, then they do. But
and do you feel in a way that that's abused by the scene generally? That I don't know, people who are involved in putting music on or venues know that people who play music just want to play, and therefore they'll play for virtually nothing, and it's kind of, I don't know, stymieing any reward in it for musicians.
There are people out there that pay, and you know that, and a lot of them are musicians, to be honest, or ex-musicians, and understand it.
So they're more sympathetic.
Yeah, I mean, in some places, you know, when I first started gigging, I was 15. I'd get paid in beer. I'd get away, you know, but we'd always get something from everywhere we played, whether it was just beer all night.
So that showed some appreciation.
Yeah, you know, and that can go a long way.
Yeah.
So can the beer tab as well.
Well, it's a shame we haven't got any more Rhett strike tonight. I'd blame Rhett, but we had 24 for his night and he only drank one. But on that note, shall we introduce your two guests?
Yeah.
And while they're coming in and setting up, and our audio guys are doing a little bit of fiddling, if you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do with these guys. Nothing too personal.
Well,
whoa! I know why we didn't give Rhett any red stripe. He kicks cameras.
Just, I don't know what to say about him. A bit awkward.
Awkward?
Yeah.
So what are they going to be playing along with you?
None of your Euro pop stuff. Anyway. We'll do Clarity last.
Okay.
Because it's the only good one. Oh. There's a black dog that follows me around, no matter what. I just can't shake that hound. I try to run away, but he just caught me up. I try to lose him, but he's just one big pup. Noticed a collar around his neck one day, and right then I knew that this dog was no stray. I bent down and read the tag. In my curiosity, I realised the owner was me. Around like I do every time, but you can't run away from the things in your mind. around like I do every time, but you can't run away from things in your mind. I threw a stick, but he just brought it back. I tried to lose him by going down the wrong track. This dog always seems to hunt me down, even when I left that town. Around like I do every time, but you can't run away from the things in your mind. Around like I do every time, but you can't run away from the things in your mind.
Sorry, mate. I played shit then. Is that bad, Jack?
Wait.
This is the last song. It's called Clarity. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Outside for a moment of clarity. Some people take advantage of charity. It's below freezing and there's snow on the ground. You can hear every single sound. The sky is clear, the stars are brand new. The neighbour's life pollutes your view. Smoke from your lungs flies up and fades. Close your eyes, mistake you made. Party is over. Everything comes to an end. Whether it's a job, a life, a lover or a friend. Back inside, find somewhere to sit. The room is dark, although candles have been lit. The flames sway back and forth as you close the door. You lay down on the cold, hard floor. You sink into the floorboards, your body starts to twist. You hold into the wall with one clenched fist. Try to escape from these things you should face. It's bittersweet. You love the taste, the party is over. Everything comes to an end. Whether it's a job, a life, a lover or a friend. What are we gonna do now? No, it hasn't worked out.
Thank you.
No, Weallfallsilent.
Just say a big thank you before we finish to Dan for coming along, bringing Nick and Rhett for coming along as well.
Right.
Thanks to the Soundhouse, Greg and Sue for letting us use their location, venue even. And a big thanks to Barb and Joe for doing the audio. It makes all the difference. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Nice one.
Oh, sorry for that. I shagged around loads of times.
It's alright.
No one